Victoria Ashford sat in her Mercedes on the side of Highway 9, watching steam rise from under the hood. Of all the nights for her car to break down, it had to be tonight. She was supposed to be at Belmont's restaurant in 20 minutes for a blind date her sister had arranged. Some venture capitalist named Marcus, who allegedly had impeccable taste and owned a yacht. Victoria didn't care about yachts. At 56, she'd built her own wealth as the founder of a successful marketing firm. She had everything she needed. What she didn't have was time for this breakdown. She called for roadside assistance. 45-minute wait. She called the restaurant to leave a message for Marcus. Then she sat in her car in her designer dress, watching the sun set, feeling foolish. A pickup truck pulled up behind her. An older model, paint faded but well-maintained. A man got out, mid-50s, wearing work clothes stained with grease. He had kind eyes and moved with the easy confidence of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. He approached her window. Victoria rolled it down cautiously. "Looks like you're having some trouble," he said. His voice was warm, unhurried. "I'm a mechanic. Mind if I take a look?" "I've called for roadside assistance," Victoria said. "But thank you." "They'll be a while," the man said. "I'm Jack. I own the garage 2 miles back. I was heading home, but I can't just leave someone stranded. At least let me diagnose the problem." Something about his straightforward manner made Victoria trust him. "All right. Thank you." Jack popped the hood and leaned in, examining the engine with practiced ease. Victoria got out of the car, careful not to get her dress dirty. "Radiator hose," Jack said after a moment. "Burst clean through. You're lucky you didn't overheat the whole engine." "How far were you planning to drive?" "Just into town. I had dinner plans." Jack glanced at her dress, then at his watch. "You're not making dinner. Not in this car anyway. But I can patch this enough to get you to my garage. I'll have to order the part, but I can get you a loaner car for tonight." "You don't have to do that," Victoria said. "I know I don't have to," Jack replied simply. "But you're stranded and I can help. That's reason enough." He went to his truck, got supplies, and spent 15 minutes rigging a temporary fix. His hands were steady and sure, moving with the kind of competence that comes from decades of practice. Victoria found herself watching him work, noticing the gray at his temples, the laugh lines around his eyes, the careful way he handled her expensive car like it mattered. "There," Jack said, straightening up. "That should hold for a couple miles. Follow me to the garage." At the garage, a modest building with 2 bays and a small office, Jack showed her to a clean but basic waiting room. "The loaner is that Honda out front," he said, gesturing to a well-maintained older sedan. "It's not fancy, but it runs perfectly. You can drive it until your car is fixed." "How much do I owe you?" Victoria asked, reaching for her wallet. "For the patch job? Nothing. For the actual repair and the part, we can settle up when it's done." "You're trusting me with your car without payment?" Jack smiled. "You're trusting me with yours. Seems fair." Victoria realized she'd already missed her dinner reservation. Marcus had probably left by now. She should feel disappointed. Instead, she felt oddly relieved. "I've missed my dinner plans anyway," she said. "Is there anywhere to eat around here?" "There's a diner about a mile up the road. Betty's place. Nothing fancy, but the food is honest and the coffee is strong." Victoria made a decision. "Would you like to join me? As a thank you for helping me." Jack looked surprised. "You don't have to do that." "I know, but I'd like to. If you don't have plans." "My daughter is at a sleepover," Jack said slowly, "and I was just heading home to reheat leftover pizza. So yes, I'd like that." At Betty's diner, they sat across from each other in a red vinyl booth. Victoria felt out of place in her cocktail dress, but Jack didn't seem to notice or care. "Tell me about your daughter," Victoria said after they'd ordered. Jack's face lit up. "Emma. She's 14, smart as a whip, stubborn as they come. She wants to be an engineer. Spends half her time at my garage learning about engines, the other half building robots from kits. She sounds remarkable. She is. Her mom passed away 3 years ago. Brain aneurysm. Completely sudden. Since then, it's been just the two of us figuring it out." "I'm so sorry," Victoria said softly. "Thank you. Some days are harder than others, but Emma keeps me going, reminds me what matters." "Do you ever feel lonely?" Victoria asked, surprising herself with the personal question. Jack considered it. Sometimes, late at night when the house is quiet. But I've learned there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. I'm alone often, lonely less so. Emma fills up a lot of space, and I have my work, my community. It's enough most days. Victoria envied that contentment. I have a successful business, a nice house, financial security. But I'm lonely all the time. I fill my days with work and obligations, but when I stop moving, the emptiness catches up. "Why the blind date tonight?" Jack asked gently. "My sister thinks I need someone. Maybe she's right. But every man I meet either wants my money or wants me to be impressed by his. No one just wants to sit in a diner and talk." "Well," Jack said with a slight smile. "Here we are, sitting in a diner, talking." Victoria smiled back. "Here we are. They talked for 2 hours." Jack told her about building his garage from nothing, about the satisfaction of fixing things with his own hands. Victoria told him about starting her firm, about the fear and exhilaration of taking that first risk. "I used to get my hands dirty," Victoria admitted. "When I started, I did everything myself. Designed the campaigns, met with clients, managed the books. Somewhere along the way, I became the person who delegates everything. I miss the hands-on work." "It's not too late to get back to it," Jack said. "Success doesn't mean you have to stop doing what you love." "That's wise," Victoria said. "Or maybe I just don't know any better," Jack replied with self-deprecating humor. "I'm just a mechanic." "You're not just anything," Victoria said firmly. "You own your own business. You're raising a daughter alone. You stopped to help a stranger. Those things matter more than any title." Jack looked at her with something like wonder. "You're different than I expected. What did you expect? Someone in a fancy dress on the side of the highway?" "I expected impatience, entitlement. Instead, you're sitting in a diner with a grease-stained mechanic talking about life." "You're not just a grease-stained mechanic," Victoria said. "You're the kindest person I've met in years." The check came. Victoria tried to pay. Jack insisted on splitting it. "You helped me," Victoria protested. "And you're giving me your company," Jack countered. "That's worth more than dinner." In the parking lot, standing by the loaner Honda, Jack said, "Your car should be ready in a few days. I'll call when the part comes in." "Thank you, Jack, for everything. It was my pleasure, Victoria." She drove away in the borrowed Honda, watching Jack's pickup truck disappear in her rearview mirror. She should feel ridiculous. She'd missed her blind date, spent the evening in a diner, and was driving a 15-year-old sedan. Instead, she felt lighter than she had in months. 3 days later, Victoria returned to pick up her Mercedes. Jack had it running perfectly. "Good as new," he said, handing her the keys. "Maybe better. I noticed your brake pads were wearing thin, so I replaced those too. No charge. Safety issue. You didn't have to do that, I know, but I wanted to." Victoria paid her bill, then hesitated. "Jack, would you and Emma like to have dinner sometime? Somewhere nicer than Betty's. My treat." "Are you asking me on a date?" Jack asked, a smile playing at his lips. "I think I am, if that's all right." "That's more than all right. But only if we can take my truck. Emma won't believe any of this unless she sees it herself." 6 months later, Victoria stood in Jack's garage teaching Emma about marketing strategy while Jack worked on a vintage car in the background. "So you convince people to buy things they don't need?" Emma asked skeptically. "Sometimes," Victoria admitted. "But the best marketing is about connecting people with things that actually improve their lives. Like your dad connecting people with reliable transportation." Jack looked up from his work. "Are you comparing my oil changes to marketing campaigns?" "I'm saying we're both in the business of solving problems," Victoria said. "You just get better mileage out of yours." Emma laughed. Jack shook his head, smiling that evening after Emma went to bed. Jack and Victoria sat on his porch drinking coffee. "My sister keeps asking when I'm going to bring you to family dinner," Victoria said. "She wants to meet the man who made me cancel a blind date." "Technically, your radiator hose made you cancel the blind date," Jack pointed out. "Best breakdown I ever had," Victoria said, leaning her head on his shoulder. "Sometimes the worst timing leads to the best moments. Sometimes breaking down is how we finally move forward." If this story warmed your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Share in the comments about an unexpected detour that changed your life. Sometimes the wrong road takes us exactly where we belong.